Сегодня у нас на повестке дня игра Stanley Parable.
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
О, уже игра началась. О, что так медленно мышка вращается. Так, повыше сделаем. Мало. Клавиатура мышь. Ну, вот более комфортно. Ой, что он плывет, не останавливается сразу.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Как открыть дверь? Хозяева! Есть кто дома? Так, что у нас здесь есть? Ну, куда-то все свалили. Username, access. А, просто мышкой открывать, закрывать. Закрыто. Куда все делись? И где все? Нет, не страшилка. Читаю вот снизу. Вошел в дверь слева. Слева? Ну, мы пойдем направо, мы пойдем. Прямо в конференц-зал, и Стэнли прекрасно возможно хотел заскочить в комнату отдыха и полюбоваться ею. Игра ставит перед выбором.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
А я назад могу уйти? Нет, все, выбор сделан. Ну, то есть, вот тебе диктор говорит, что надо делать.
Really worth it, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Брюнетка или блондинка? Ну, что-то в этом роде. А, вот. И что, ты сидишь, смотришь? Да, вот теперь выбор, тебе туда или туда пойти. Ой, сюда пойдем. Так плохо с указанием, что даже странно, что его не уволили за 5 лет назад. О, да, бунтарь. Внимание, штрафы.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm
Правильно
not your
поняли.
enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Для нее, для кого?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
А чё так темно? Дух, ты здесь?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the
Должен
one to
сделать
do
первым.
this.
Начать с ней
To
разговор, если действительно хочешь кому-то доверяться. Возьми трубку. Ну ладно.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now,
А я
I
идти не
want you
могу.
to come in and tell me all about your
Ой.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Ну я же могу не заходить, я могу же прямо пойти. Ну ладно, давайте послушаем.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Какой смерти? Доброе утро, работник 427. Нажмите Т на клавиатуре.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there,
С.
pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Я не буду нажимать В. Я буду все клавиши нажимать. 20. Ну давай
But
В,
in his
ладно.
mind, in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful.
А,
And
здесь
each
как
day
стена
that he
невидимая.
returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his
нихрена
own
себе.
job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Поиграть с сыновьями.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last,
В
choice.
смысле, я что, проиграл уже, что ли?
Even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
А, 0.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an
Выпустите меня
enormous
отсюда.
bound room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Притча Стэнли. А что будет, если я не буду нажимать? Не хочу я вот притчу рассказывать детям. Вообще ничего не получается сделать. Я такое ощущение, что вот сижу за компьютером по звуку, вот так, если нажимать много раз.
It was
Ладно.
such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Сказать, что ли,
But there
убить?
is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm
Пойти
trying to
поспать.
tell
Ну
him
давай.
this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Джей, прийти утром на работу.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that
Сейчас, по-моему,
every
весь
second
офис
he remains
поменяю,
here
вот этот комнат
is in
поменяется в
action to
офис, и я
kill
обратно
himself?
пойду.
How can I get him to
Забавно.
see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Пожалуйста, умри.
And Stanley
В смысле?
And I tried again. And Stanley
Это
pushed
как,
the button.
пожалуйста, умрите.
And I tried.
Серьезно? Я зашел, прошел 3 метра и умер. Все, что ли? Лол. Я проиграл.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Пропустил уведомление. А что будет, если я все же буду нарушать и дальше прямо пройду?
When Stanley came to a set
Вот
of
не
two
пойду.
open- This was not the correct way to the
Это
meeting
мы все
room, and
проходили.
Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Комната
Perhaps he
отдыха,
wanted to stop
да-да-да-да.
by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Безномерная.
Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to
Охренеть.
business, Stanley took the
Это какую надо
first
было
open
уметь?
door on his
Удачу,
left.
чтобы так проиграть? Во, я пойду сюда.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door,
Вернулся на
and got
правильный
back
путь.
on track.
А, это правильный путь. Ага, это я вниз спущусь. А вон она переговорная, то есть я могу обойти и по правильному пути пойти. Че, мне куда идти? Прямо или вот на лифте спуститься вниз? А, Валер? Забавно. Ладно. А что если мы в обраточку пойдем? А, я не могу, да? Ну ладно. Так, вот он зал конференции.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Вот я сейчас зайду, я же не выйду отсюда.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was
Ладно,
nothing
ничего.
here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ну ладно.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
Пошел
boss's
наверх.
office.
Кабинет начальника. А если бы я там на лифту вниз спустился, я мог бы здесь подняться наверх. Ну пойдем, давай. Закрыто. Что у нас? Ну ладно. Не пугай так дверь. А вообще эта дверь не вписывается в интерьер, все такое красивое, в один. И тут белая одна дверь.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number,
2845.
2845. But of course, Stanley, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. he stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ну-ка, а что там было все-таки написано? Это как надо присматриваться. Ну ладно. Свет. По-моему, это все в его фантазиях. О, я прошел дальше по локации.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar.
Как-то
It
особенно.
was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself.
Ну, офисный клерк вышел из своей зоны. То есть начал сам думать.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
Escape,
Facility.
выход. Mind Control. Это выход. Получается, если я выйду туда, я закончу опять игру, что ли? Ой, выбор сложный. Мне и там интересно. Сколько выборов-то много. Ну-ка. Лампочка. Ходы какие-то.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
По-моему, где-то сейчас Ксавьер должен быть, Люди Икс, там все остальное.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers.
Это за каждым начали следить.
So many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
А вот там ошибочка у нас. 2. 2 ошибки получается. 528.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with
Это
his
всегда
boring
так,
job?
Господи.
That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Это ни за что не отвечает. Так интересно. А есть большая красная кнопка? Есть. Синий не хотел. Не. Оффлайн. А давай зелененькие везде натыкаем. О! Консоль отключена. Ну ладно. Включен. То есть это сердце уже... О, большая красная кнопка. Не нажимать большую красную кнопку. А ее нельзя нажать. Ну ладно. О, а что за 5? Эй. Ну-ка, давай-ка. Может, баллы себе там личный рейтинг наклацаю, пока Хотя никого нет, ну ладно. Mind control, idle. Понятно. Включить и отключить.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Да.
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Власть.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do.
Классно.
You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off.
А, выключить надо было.
If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have
Что-то
to do
получше.
much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA
А, ну да,
identification,
молодец.
nuclear detonators are set to explode.
Я только что заруинил
igniting the
опять катку.
entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2
Можно как-то
minutes.
отключить?
Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had imagined.
Sarcasm.
What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is.
На целых 2 минуты
More
стал
time to talk about you,
властелином.
me, where we're going, what all this means. I
Ну жахнет так
barely know
жахнет.
where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated?
Ну если коллеги
All right,
недалеко
I
ушли,
mean,
то им тоже хана.
You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story.
А, он
Sometimes
отключил.
when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
А, то есть он спас, но меня провел, но я заруинил. Молодец. Так держать.
Or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you.
Можно отключить, пожалуйста? Где тут провод есть?
Hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no
Да
idea
как-то можно
where you're
отключить
going
тебе,
or what you're
господи.
supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen.
Кликаешь по каждой мелочи в комнате.
These colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door.
Большая красная кнопка.
Something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Вот она, большая красная кнопка.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine.
3,
I'm
1.
going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown.
427, чё?
To your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your
Что-то
inevitable
опять
life
сломал.
from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Там, по-моему, как-то можно было, скорее всего, отключить. Наигрался.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others.
Где они не были,
wherever they
скоро
were.
найдет. Уже
Just a
по-другому
matter of
говорит.
time.
Уже диктор начал по-другому
When
говорить.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
О, проще было здесь
Yet
пройти.
there was not a single person
А вот здесь
there
раньше дверь
either.
была.
Feeling a wave of
Ну-ка, если
disbelief,
так по текстурам
Stanley
приглядеться,
decided to
то
go
вот
up to
она.
his boss's office,
Как будто вот так
hoping he might
вырезано.
find an answer there.
Ну-ка.
Oh, no.
Ой,
Oh,
нет,
no,
нет,
no, no, no,
только
no, no,
не
no,
это
not
снова.
again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going
Я не
to
буду
say
тебя
anything
подбадривать,
at
я не
all.
буду ничего
I'm
говорить.
just
Буду
going to
молча
be
ждать, пока
patient
ты
and wait
закончишь то,
for
что
you
тебе
to finish
нравится
whatever it is you
делать.
enjoy doing so much in this room. Please, coming to a staircase, Stanley walked
Уже наверх кабинет
upstairs to his
начальника, да?
boss's office.
А что внизу у нас?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously
начал
out
по
of
кругу
existence
ходить.
in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any
Сейчас за
logical
угол.
sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just had.
И опять проиграл. А нет, вот понялось.
He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers
Да господи.
were actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons.
Это мне
I may
напоминает
as well enjoy
из
this
Сталкера
while I'm still
Пузырь.
lucid. So, he
12
imagined
Б4.
himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Летать.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much
Кого?
fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
Голова лопнет от
And
такого
while he
потока
thought it all
информации.
very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control.
Это
That
только
this
сон.
was a dream.
Как сел колоть.
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up,
Но не
he thought
получится.
to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Не прокатило.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
О. Глаза верните. Резко потух в глазах.
This is the story.
Говорили, резко не вставайте.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Опять? Опять 25.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ну-ка. Ой.
Oh, no, apparently not.
Опа, 417 комнат можно изучить. Чего? Никого нету. Ну ладно. Взбаламутил меня диктор.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ладно, давай пойдем, как ты мне говоришь.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Вниз я не пойду больше.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
А, давай попробуй еще раз в дверь поломиться. Я напугался. Дверь открывается. Но это тайм, время. А до этого ничего не открывалась эта дверь. Ну-ка, что у нее? А нельзя включить, да? А тебя открыть можно? Обрушение, что там? Ну-ка, давай попробуем сейчас там пройти, добить вот этот код.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What
Компьютера не
could it
хватает здесь.
mean? Stanley wondered
там?
aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact,
точно
this
панель.
keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay
28,
buried below
40.
his feet. And so the boss had
5.
assigned it an Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even
Ни минуты на его
have to just let
рассказ.
the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed
Большой
for a
палец
few moments
высушить.
with some calming new age music.
Спасибо за музыку. Не могу. Да ты, господи. Это не музыка. Пока отключу. Пока он не начал балаболить. Потому что, ну, на всякий случай. Ограничений не хочу поймать. Так, все, силы восстановил.
Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Неплохо. Ну ладно. Сейчас загрузочка будет.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
Мне
Facility.
интересно, на выход или... Давай попробую включить потом разные попробую способы. Тут столько вариаций, я так понял. Забавно.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with
Сколько уже?
television
37 минут
screens.
стрима идет.
What horrible secret did this place hold?
Ну, где-то
Stanley
еще
thought to
минут 30
himself.
поиграю,
Did
да,
he have the strength
прекращать
to
стрим.
find out?
Так.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
Прям
Each
глаза
bore the
выедает.
number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Это же валвовская игра, значит здесь можно надграф как-то включить или что-то в этом роде. Ну, свычиться. Я где-то слышал, что в этой игре, если свычиться прописываешь, он тебя будет ругать долго-долго.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all
Не, ну
this
это шикарно
time?
сделано для
Was this the
такой
only
старой
reason
игры.
he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Пайрет. Что? Ошибка камеры. Там что было интересное?
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't
А что, не будешь
accept
меняться,
it. His
скипаться?
own life in someone
Печально.
else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly
Мне интересно,
blind
русский
to
язык
the
есть
world?
какой-нибудь пользовательский? Более-менее нормальный.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or
Ой,
content.
туда могу еще
Walking,
подняться.
eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Так, вот здесь 4, там 5, да и должна быть. А единица 2. 0521. Забавно. Пятерка. 5-4. Четырехзначные. То есть, по сути, какой-то код есть.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Хорошо, спасибо. All inclusive. Так, ну давай включим. И... Я что, все опять заруинил?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Нет, просто свет выключил.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
Это иллюзия, мне кажется.
And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
А я не хочу входить. Как назад вернуться? Ага.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Что, я успешно прошел, что ли? О, ачивочка есть. Это я один раз... О! Записки на полу. Их же не было.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it?
Во-во-во-во.
Is this Stanley's office?
Да. Игра меняется. Все в бумагах. Какая-то дверь открывает? Нет. Нет. Мне кажется, какая-то дверь рано или поздно откроется. 417, 16, 15.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Давай-ка
This
справа
was
пойдем.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Первая дверь слева. Ну ладно. Там
And
еще
so he
один выход был.
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on
Okay.
track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Дай войти. Они заколотили комнату. Падлы.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Не открывается. Пойдем еще раз. Ничего не работает здесь, не поменялось. Печально. Жаль, что еще чат молчит. Да, пойдем вот сюда. Интересно, кто лифт даст. Ну-ка, вниз. Куда нас приведет? Что-то так все трясется, напрягает. Данил просил стрим. Но я знаю, что это не пансик, но я хотел эту игру попробовать. Пансик завтра будет. О, схема какая-то. Под углом, что ли, это все можно увидеть? Или это просто так похоже? Ну-ка. Серьезно? Поехали наверх. Это просто трясется? Я так понимаю. Нажимаю остановить. А вниз? Никуда мы не проехали. Ну да ладно. Так можно было долго стоять ждать.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah blah blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kills.
Укоротил. Неплохо, мне нравится. Вроде одна и та же сюжетка, но все по-разному. О, подожди.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
До свидания.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Жесткая смерть? Нет.
Кажется,
хорошо подумал и понял, что ему стать чего дальше. А ты меня обманул. Обманул по-любому. Но все-таки что-то ну. Здесь что написано? Ну-ка. Ничего больше не скажешь? Ну-ка, если обратно вернусь. Все, надоело говорить, я думал, ты будешь там злиться. Ладно, мы пройдем. Я не верю. Слушай, мне кажется, коридор-то не кончается. Давай назад посмотрим.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Ну, давай вернемся. По-моему, мы не дойдем до двери. Или дойдем? Сейчас перед мордой закроется дверь. Или нет? Да ты чё гонишь? По-моему, мы долго будем по этому пути идти. Сколько так идти? Мы от двери вообще уходим?
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ой. Страшно. Серьезно? А, нет. О, как.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss.
А он ту красную можно как-то нажать? Кнопочку там остановиться.
So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Нет, нельзя. Пресс F. А?
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ха! Ха-ха!
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Офис. Да-да, еще по-английски буду понимать. Это вот офис. По нему мы можем двигаться. Так, это вот. Две двери. Коридор. Это прям все основное, да? Офисный компьютер. О, ой. Я что-то сломал. Все, экономим. Или это перезагрузка? Создатели. Не, мне нравится, как это все сделано здесь. Глаза выедает. Офис. Не могу сюда попасть. 5 баллов поставлю. Надо вот сюда на лифте будет по это какого спуститься еще. Вау. Что я как и в музей попал. Что? Сообщения какие-то. Хорошо, если бы знал бы английский, прочитал бы, перевел бы. Не спамить. Ну да, игра этого года. Прощай. Неплохо. Может, какой-то код здесь есть? You are gay? You are rock? Она что-то ролить будет сейчас? Will the game future happy bars? That strong bet. How do you type of which boxing gloves on? Ben. What do you lights in the control room? Было бы по-русски, было бы вообще прекрасно. Понятно, что здесь написано. Я ничего не понимаю практически. Интересно, сколько она еще будет идти? Вот это. Стоять, смотреть. Это потом можно после серии мне сесть с переводчиком смотреть. Оу. По-моему, повторяться начинает. Парни. Где iPad? Это надолго, я так понимаю, вот это все. А, вот все начинает, по-моему, повторяться. Сейчас и сырок напишет. А, нет, ты посмотри. Интересно, сколько можно стоять это смотреть и читать, переводить? Они, по-моему, через раз повторяются все эти сообщения. Ладно, пойдем дальше. У меня просто уже глаза выело. А. Это карта какая-то. Непонятно, но очень интересно. Это если выбрать одну дверь, получится так, потом вторую и так далее. Это вариант событий получается. А, это моделька. Down this. Ну и ладно. никак не нажать, да? Мне хотя бы все бы обойти, посмотреть, что тут есть. Так, это мы там были. Мы здесь поднялись. Тоже были. Телефон. Да. По звуку слышу. Вот здесь не были. Сейчас девочка вылезет из звонка. Жутко было. Что тут на видео есть? Интересно, ачивку дадут за просмотр вот этого всего или нет? Или так, для галочки? Ладно. С паузы begins the option. Здесь. Ну ладно. Ну, пойдем на выход.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Обоим. Потушил конкретно.
Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now. Only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Ну давай выйдем. Или не надо было?
This is the story of a man.
Прикольно, бляха-муха. Ну это топ.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Надо его не
Perhaps he
нажимать
simply
вообще
missed a
ничего.
memo.
Бляха-муха. Сейчас он будет говорить, как будет первый раз.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, а если я там прямо куда-то зайду, еще что-то сделаю?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
А, здесь кейкарты надо.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on
Это
the wrong
Stanley
foot
Parable.
here.
Прикольная
I'm not
игрушка.
sure
Тут
if
столько
anyone
вариаций,
knows.
мне прям
I
зашла.
realize that investing your trust in someone else can
Посмотри
be
на нее,
difficult,
пожалуйста,
but the fact
русификатор.
is that
Есть
the
или нет
story
на
has been
звук,
about
чтобы
nothing
диктора
but
был?
you
Тогда вообще
all
двойное
this
удовольствие
time.
будет.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking
Игрушка
for me,
прикольная.
I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your
Без
chance
процента
to redeem
вернуться
yourself.
в жизнь. Ну
To
да, да.
put your work aside. To let
Okay.
her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the
Я
phone.
возьму, сейчас перенесет меня. Ну ладно, давай возьмем. Мне интересно, что там дальше будет сейчас. Если я направо зайду сразу в первую дверь, то я умру.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show
Это
you what's
надолго,
really
если я туда
going
сейчас
on
зайду.
here.
Нет, друган, я не пойду туда.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Я ради этого сюда зашел. Я не пойду сюда. Пустите меня. Тильда не работает. Ну-ка, настройки. Клавиатура, мышь. В смысле сглаживания. Тут вот все аккуратненько, плавненько движется. В каком плане сглаживания? Это игра 12-го года. Вот они все настройки. А я уже включал. Вот. Но я сейчас туда зайду. Ну так нельзя.
This is a very sad story.
Это надолго. Это реально надолго.
This
Ну, игра старая на Source 1, по-моему.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так. Сейчас лучше стало?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ой, я ошибся. Или нет?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might find
движок
him
один и
coming
тот
to a
же.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Кабинет начальника. А, нет, открывается. Чё там? Тут я так подловился на одной хрени. В лифте. Ты это видел или нет? Смотри. Типа ты так можешь час-два стоять, но ты нажимаешь хоть какую кнопку. Ты все равно здесь остаешься.
Here's the door.
О.
Just go.
Открыто? Даже код не пришлось набирать. Ну ладно. Ай. А, сейчас внизу будет эта хрень забавная. Да.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
А, нет,
Mind
не здесь,
Control
надо было там
Facility.
пройти. Управление разумом.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Мне покупать надо.
parameters jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Тут надо читать или слушать, что он говорит. Это вообще угары.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept?
Мне интересно. Сейчас верну. Игра 2011 года. Ну, прочитал, короче, могу сказать, что почти не спастись от этого взрыва.
No, he refused to believe it.
Можем заново начать. Там есть еще один моментик, где мы можем пройти.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started.
О,
And if
уже
it
по-другому,
did, it
видишь?
stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Глаза только выедает. Флешку поймал. Дань, смотри, вот так. Лови флешку. Здесь нельзя ничего заюзать. Открыть. Смотреть. О! Помню. Сейчас через право пройдем против него.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
Конечно,
first,
комнату
just to
отдыха.
admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach,
Да.
but eager to get back to business.
Так, если я
Stanley
прямо
took the
иду,
first open door on his left.
то я там, по-моему, проигрываю.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section,
А тут
walked
есть еще вот
straight
это.
ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Не знаю, куда это придет, но должно быть это весело.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go
Налево.
From here it's left.
Left? А давай right. Это ты что, серьезно?
Oh no. No,
Понятно,
it's still
извините.
right by mistake.
Направо. Серьезно?
No. Right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right?
Я только
What was
думал.
I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Эм. Нельзя открыть, точно. Точно не ошибись.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler.
Зажмурься.
Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay.
Whoa.
Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding?
Какой обман?
It's all rubbish
История теперь
now.
совершенно
The whole
бессмысленна.
story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
Зашибись. Начал. Заспойлерил.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Вообще, что ли, никак не открывается? Пара маршрутов, что ли? Ах ты, зараза.
When Stanley...
О,
Wait.
стоп.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Дань, куда идти? Я не знаю, столько дверей передо мной первый раз открылось. А то обычно туда-сюда. Какую дверь? Раз, два,
I'll say
три.
it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Перезапустил опять. Я даже никуда не
All
зашел.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Точно не открывается.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Так, все забавнее, забавнее. Экономим свет.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The
О, как.
story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way.
Он меня теперь
Retrace our
начал
steps.
троллить конкретно.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Так, я тут.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line.
Проще.
Just follow the
О,
line.
давай.
How simple is that?
Так, стоп. Этой полосы не было. Она должна была туда вести. Так, а что будет? Если я пойду как положено. А, во.
No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Мы теперь следуем за полосой. Вон она как говорит. Ну ладно, давай. А там можно сюда войти? Карта нельзя. Нельзя выключить. Не катит.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction.
Навстречу к
Onward,
судьбе.
Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Не надо музыку. Да ты серьезно? Кручу-верчу, обмануть хочу. Даже заложил нижний этаж. По стене. Эх, никак. Ну-ка. Дверь закройся. Ну-ка. И не перелезть никак. Да, полосы он, конечно. По-моему, где-то он сбился здесь. Ладно. Ничего не открыт. Он что, был пьян, что ли? А что там есть на мониторе? Что-то как-то история идет неправильно. Куда эта история меня ведет? Линии. Как? Я, по-моему, игру сломал.
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Зачем? Я должен еще буду назвать, сколько у него лепестков?
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Я в начало вернулся. В офис работать давай, клерк. Так. А давай опять вперед пройдем, посмотрим, как по сюжету. Изначально должно было быть.
Still missing the doors. Did we make a mistake following the line? Perhaps we could have found the story on our own.
Включить. Экономим свет. Почему бумага везде раскидан?
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Опять по полосе хочешь вести?
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
А, давай вот сюда. Ну ты же сказал вместе, почему ты без меня? Ну ладно, давай, пошли.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything.
По-моему, я по кругу хожу.
Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Или нет?
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
По-моему, не то, но да ладно. Одна дверь к двум.
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how...
Это все концовки?
It's all determined?
Это все
So now, according to
концовки?
the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay.
Ладно.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Козёл.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, полосы нету, да? Ну-ка. Ученое устройство, чего? Ничего нажать нельзя, да? Жаль. Или я просто глупый. Ну да ладно.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Что, все по новому, все починилось,
Yet
что
there
ли?
was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his
Заколочено.
boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
А мы еще раз
Mind
пройдем.
Control
Я хочу
Facility.
посмотреть, вдруг мне не надо было
Although this
перезагружать.
passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ноги крепкие, качался.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Не раздавишь.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
О, на превьюшечку подойдет. Только чего так сделаем, скриншотик.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
А здесь еще можно в темноте походить. Прикольно.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Часики.
Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing? Does that sound plausible?
Прикольно. Да, я не заходил в прошлый раз. Подсветочка.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now.
Она же мне тоже указывает, по чему-то пути.
Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time.
А нет, все-таки убила. Печально. Или нет? Что, серьезно, что ли? Ни звук, ничего. Ну, давай посмотрим. Серьезно, умер? Все, что ли? Конкретно? Да нет. Продолжить-то есть. Интересно, а сколько подождать? Мне кажется, это игра с подвохом. Ладно.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Уже здесь другое написано. Все, на всех компьютерах. Ну, на этом, наверное, все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь. Всем счастливо. Пока-пока.